Hi guys, 18dap here and welcome to the latest match day preview. It's for tomorrow's fixture in League 2. It's Barrow versus Doncaster Rovers. Let's get the video started. So guys, welcome to the latest match day preview, Barrow versus Doncaster Rovers in League 2. If you're an existing subscriber, thank you so much for supporting the channel. It is greatly appreciated. If this video has brought you to the channel, welcome. Please consider clicking subscribe so you don't miss any future content. And if this is the first video that you have watched on the channel, this is the format that we go through match previews and we look at previous meetings between the two clubs, current form across all competitions. I choose a Doncaster Rovers player to say a few words about, and then I say a few words about my opinion on the opponent's one to watch. But you know your club much better than me, so any Barrow fans watching, get your player to watch in the comments down below. I do love to learn about other clubs in our division. And then we finish the video off, we round it off with three predictions: the predicted team lineup thanks to FanHub, the predictions league table that me and the family are doing, and then my all important score prediction at the very end, which tends to not mean too much. So without further ado, let's get into previous meetings. Barrow and Donny have faced off a total of 60 times in our history, and it is fairly even, with Rovers winning 22 of those. We've shared the spoils on 19 and Barrow have won 19, so fairly tight across our history. Drilling down into the more recent 5 fixtures, I say recent, we have to jump back to 1970 to get the 5th game on this table, and that's in the old Division 3, and that was a 3-2 win at home for the Rovers. And then we move on to the 71-72 season, and that was in Division 4, and we shared the spoils. It was a 1-0 home defeat for the Rovers, but then we repaid the favour with a 2-1 victory away from home. And then we jumped to more recent times, last season in League 2, and once again we shared the spoils. Barrow beating us fairly comfortably 2-0 at their place earlier on in the season, but then we won 1-0 on Valentine's Day. Lovely, very nice. So yeah, bit of a mixed bag, win, loss, win over the more recent 5, but fairly very even over our entire history. So a tough one to call coming into tomorrow's fixture. Current form as well doesn't really give us much to go on. Donny looking like we may have turned a corner. You look at this and it's a draw, a defeat, and then 3 wins on the bounce in all competitions. Barrow on the other hand, a little inconsistent with a draw, a win, a defeat, a draw and a defeat. As I mentioned, or as I touched on, it really feels like we may have turned a bit of a corner at Donny. 3 wins on the bounce across all competitions, and the latest win last weekend coming at home to the league leaders at the time, Gillingham. It was a very even game though. I think overall probably a draw would have been a fair result, but for me we were just looking so much more secure in the midfield than we've done in previous games, so much more comfortable on the ball. The transitions between defence, midfield and attack were so much better than what we've seen in the early parts of the season. I think that is because Biggins and Close returning from injury is massive for Donny, and we need to keep them as fit as they can be for the rest of the season. To win the game though, it was a huge bit of quality, and like I said, it was a tight game, and it needed something amazing or something very fortunate to win the game for either team, I think. And luckily for us Donny fans, the unreal, the sublime came via Ben Close's right boot, and it was an absolute rocket. Hopefully that quality is still there and we possess that same quality, drive, desire, determination that we saw last weekend. A tough trip to Barrow. On to Barrow, after going 3 unbeaten at the start of the season, it's become a little inconsistent, as I mentioned earlier, in the league, with their last 5 results being a loss, draw, win, draw, loss. So yeah, about as inconsistent as you're going to get. And those league results, coupled with a 2-0 home defeat to Blackpool in the Football League Trophy, to me shows that there's potential that we are getting something from this game. Having said that, Barrow are unbeaten at home in their 2 league games that they played at Holker Street, so it does show that it's a tough place to travel to up in Cumbria. The last time out was fairly even for Barrow against Mansfield, and I say that in terms of attempts. Possession wise, Mansfield had a lot more of the ball, but very even on attempts. So I think we've got to be wary as Donny fans that although they may not have a lot of the ball tomorrow, they can do lots with it and cause us damage. So yeah, fairly even encounter last time out. probably look at the stats and maybe feel like they could have come away with something from Mansfield. So yeah, it's not an easy game to go into tomorrow, in my opinion. Moving on to player profile for this one, I have gone with, well, it's pretty obvious. I'm going to have to talk about Ben Close, 27 years old, centre midfielder for the Rovers, and for me is another key player, as I've already mentioned, to return from injury recently, along with Harrison Biggins. Ben, he scored 3 in his last 2 appearances, and I think it's what we've been missing in the midfield, just somebody with experience, a calmness about them in that area. There was too much going from defence to attack and missing out the midfield at the start of the season, and him and Biggins and Westbrook to a certain extent has really impressed me, Westbrook, but those 3 on Saturday just really linked the full team together, and it's, for me, Ben Close is one of those key components that we've been missing this season in the middle of the park. He was fortunate at Forest Green Rovers. I think he's even said that it was a cross, but unbelievable, sublime against Gillingham. Hopefully for me he stays fit and continues helping the team, because we've been a different beast with Ben Close in it. So for me, our one to watch tomorrow could be Ben Close. On to the opponent's one to watch though. As I said at the start of the video, you know your club much better than what I do, so if you're a Barrow fan watching, thank you firstly. But yeah, get who you think we should be worried about or concerned about in the comments down below, and your reasons why. But for me, I have gone with Cian Spence. My reason for this is scored 2, is assisted 2, central defensive midfielder, so it seems like he's one that wants to push forward from deep, and maybe got an eye for a decent pass to thread through a defence as well. Came in from non-league as well. We've got a few players that have come from non-league this summer and started to bed into League 2 really well. I think Cian probably fits that mould as well. But yeah, 22 years old, defensive midfielder, plenty of experience across different levels of football, 125 appearances with 11 goals and 4 assists. But like I say, 2 goals and 2 assists this season. It's made a really positive start. So I think if we can keep him quiet, there's potential that we can get something from this fixture. On to the predicted team lineup. So this is thanks to FanHub. If you've not downloaded the app yet, please go ahead and do so. There's plenty more features to get your teeth stuck into, prizes and things like that that are given away all the time. Predicted team lineup though is my main go-to thing on that, and for this one I've gone, I believe it's unchanged. No, it's not unchanged, I'm lying. I've dropped Tommy Rowan at left wing back. Obviously Tommy Rowe's been suspended since his red card against Swindon. I believe he is eligible to play once again, and I think in addition to the team of his quality and experience, I think will benefit us at Barrow. So I've gone with Louis Jones in goal, a back 3 of Olu, Anderson and Bailey, Molyneux on the right, Tommy Rowe on the left, midfield 3 of Close, Westbrook and Biggins, with a front 2 of Ironside and Marsh. So when I said that it's unchanged from Gillingham's game, I totally lied, because Ironside started on the bench as well. But I think Ironside and Marsh, for me, Mo Fall, there's quality there, but his first touch just infuriates me. It's something that he definitely needs to work on, but for me, Ironside is the better starting player in my opinion. So that's my predicted team lineup. I don't think I've got an 11 out of 11 this season yet, so don't trust that in a million years. Talking about poor predictions this season, an update on the predictions league table. So me and the family predict the scoreline for every single league game. If we get spot on, we get 3 points. If we get the outcome of the game right but not the scoreline, we get 1 point. If we get completely wrong, we get no points. And 9 games into the season, you'd think, yeah, they're going to have a fair few points. We're all stuck on 5. So a good prediction from myself and my dad against Gillingham. We both went with 2-1 wins for the Rovers. Chris and Max went with wins for the Rovers but not the correct scoreline. So that has just completely tighten the table up. We may as well all be on no points, but here we are, all joint top at the minute on 5 points, so it's anybody's trophy at the minute. And that takes me on to my score prediction. As I said at the start of the video, the all important score prediction that generally doesn't come true, but we had a good one last week. And so before these 2 games, obviously we'd won his first game of the campaign, I would have been happy with 2 points against league leaders and a tough trip to Barrow. We've already got 3. I'd have been very, very happy. I'd have been ecstatic with 4. I'd be absolutely buzzing with all 6. I don't know what I'd do with myself with all 6. I don't think we're going to get all 6. I do, however, think that we've got enough in us to bring something home. So I'm going with a 1-1, 4 points from the last 2, 7 points from us last 3. We may have turned the corner, but as I've said in the video, it's a tough place to go. So we are going to have to be on our game to get anything, in my opinion, from this one. I'm going to stick with my 1-1. And that's where I'm going to leave this. If you've enjoyed it, please stick a big thumbs up on it for us, please. Comments in the section down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.